Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new workshop and the last workshop of the day. We're going to be talking about the sales process and then reordering your product from your suppliers. That are the main subjects for the workshop. I could see that some customers have been joining all the sessions from session number 1 this morning. So welcome again. For those that are joining just this one, welcome to you as well. I hope to make it as informative as I can. The format of the presentation is very simple. I'll be covering those subjects that I mentioned during the next few minutes, and please hold off on your questions until the end of the presentation. I'll open up to the questions so I can not miss any of your questions and answer them one by one. All right, so let's start again. So the sales process. So I'm going to start covering the sales process, or the sales workflow as I call it as well. And it's very simple in many ways. If you go in the sales menu, you can create estimates, sales orders, shipping orders, and invoices. But it's very flexible. So if you don't need to create estimates or quotes, quick note here, I like to give a few tips during the presentation. You can rename the PDF title for your transaction. So if you prefer the term quote, in the PDF, in the PDF settings, you can rename them to quote. They'll remain estimates in Erplain, but your PDFs will be called quotes. Same for all the other transactions, by the way. I know some of our customers like to call shipping orders packing lists or packing orders, so depending on what you prefer. So as I mentioned, estimates, you can start the sales process by creating an estimate. And then from the estimate, you can create your sales orders. From your sales orders, you can create your shipping orders, and then you can create your invoices from the sales orders, from the shipping orders, or even from the invoice. So that's very flexible. Of course, you don't have to start with the estimate. You can start with the sales order, or you can start with the invoice. And of course, you've got different updates at every stage, the inventory updates at every stage, and I'll make sure I cover those in detail. For the presentation today, I'll go a bit more in detail, so I'll make sure to cover estimates, sales orders, shipping orders, and invoices. But I'll say that again, if you don't need to create estimates, you don't have to. If you don't need to create sales orders and shipping orders, these two go together. So sales orders and shipping orders, they go together. So make sure you create your shipping orders if you're creating sales orders. But you can skip those and create the invoice directly. So again, very flexible. I'll start with the estimates. So let's click on estimates. And I'll go fairly quickly on some of the features that we've already presented today. If you're more interested to hear about the filters, about the views and the columns that you can filter, make sure to look at our help center or look at the videos, the recordings that we're going to publish later on. But of course, here I could filter only the estimates that are pending. So I just simply click on pending and I see the pending estimates. So we're going to start creating an estimate now. So I'll click on create. And the form that you see here is the form to create an estimate. I'm not going to create an estimate, a sales order, and an invoice because it's actually exactly the same form. But obviously it has a different impact on your stock level, and I'll make sure I talk more in details about that. But I'll spend a few minutes creating the estimate. If you don't need to create estimates, just invoices or sales orders, again, don't worry, it is the same process, it is the same form. I usually recommend to start by creating a customer. So by selecting your customers. That should be the first information that you select when you create a sale transaction like the estimate, because based on the customer that you're going to select, you can have different information, different values assigned to that customer. You can have different taxes, different location, an account rep, a price level, of course, so I'll make sure I cover those subjects, but the customer will decide if you've set up those default values in the customer, of course, will decide a lot of the values in that sales transaction. If you want to create a new customer, you click on the little plus button. You'll see a little pop-up window that shows up. You can create a new customer from here. So here I'm just going to select an existing customer. When you select your customer, you've got the billing address that shows up automatically, the shipping address that shows up automatically as well. In your customer profile, you can have multiple billing addresses and you can have multiple shipping addresses if you want. You can, of course, customize or change, do a last-minute change in the addresses directly here from that transaction. As I selected my customer, you've got some information that showed up automatically as well. I can assign a default location to my customer. So in Erplain, as you probably know, you can create multiple stock locations. So if you need to track the inventory of your products in the warehouse, in your office, in trucks, you can create those stock locations and then track the inventory of your product in each of those locations. So here, this is the main office, the stock location that they selected for this customer. So if this estimate becomes a sales order or becomes an invoice, for example, this is where the inventory will be updated. I can also assign account reps to my customers, or a sales team. So as you can see here, Eric has been assigned to this customer. So then in my reports, in my sales reports, I can go and pull some sales reports based on that, on the rep as well. Something else that you can do with account reps is you can give them an access to Erplain. It will be a dedicated access. That means they will only see their customers and they will only see their sales. So that's optional if you want to give them access, but they could come in on your Erplain account with their login information and they can place some orders, but they will have a dedicated access. And then something else I mentioned earlier is the price level. So this is very used in Erplain because very often our customers are using different prices based on the category of customer. So when you open your account in Erplain, you'll have wholesale price and retail price that are default prices. So typically, wholesale price would be used in a B2B sales environment, and if you send to the end customer, you can use the retail price. And as you can see here, I can also create my own custom price level. So I created price tier 1, price elite. So again, based on the category of customer, I can customize the price of my products. That means that each of my product will have each of the price level assigned. So if you open a product profile, so here I could do that in another tab. So this is the creation of a new product. I can open another tab so I can show you and I can see my selling prices. So I have wholesale price, retail price, price tier 1, and price elite. These are the exact, of course, price levels that we just looked at in the selection of price levels. For that customer, I've assigned wholesale price. So as I'm going to select my my products, this is the wholesale price that's going to show up automatically. And then to select your products, you can do that in a few different ways in Erplain based on the number of products you need to add, based on your preference. You can start here by typing the name of the product. For example, here at Blue, there we go. Directly in the search results, as you can see, I've got the inventory information that shows up automatically. So I can see how much is on hand, available, and incoming. And I'll make sure I describe those numbers in a few minutes. I'm going to select this product and I'm going to put a quantity of 5, for example. Another way to add your products is to display the list of your products. So by clicking on Add Multiple Products, this is the list of all your products that you can filter by categories like seasons or tags. You can filter by SKU, by name, if you want. And then once you filter down your list of products, this is simple. You just simply click on the product name to add the product to your selection. And then you just simply put the quantity there. The price that you see here is the wholesale price for that product because I selected wholesale. And the available quantity that you see here is the available quantity in the stock location that I chose in the previous screen. I click on close and I've added my products. And then finally, the third way to add your products is to click on scan. So scan works with your the barcode. So Erplain works with the existing barcodes that are on your products. So if you have barcodes on your products, you can assign those barcodes to the product profile. There's a barcode field in each of your products. And then with a barcode scanner, so simply click on scan and then scan the product. They will be added automatically to that list. You can then add some notes. So these notes are simply added to the PDF document that you're going to create from this transaction. So here, this is the estimate, but that works the same on sales orders and invoices, for example. So here, this is this will be shared with your customer. This will be included in the PDF. Then you have terms and conditions that are in two parts. You have that first part here, that's the generic part for all your customers that can be set up in your PDF settings. And then in each customer profile, you can have specific terms and conditions if you want to. That is optional. If you want to display those, that's something you can choose in the PDF settings. Internal notes are just for you to remember some information next time you're going to open this transaction. So for example, you can include some information here. This will not be in the PDF, so this can also be, of course, used to share some information with your team. And that will not be shared with the customer. That will not be in the PDF. And finally, I can attach some files. That's a little bit the same idea as the internal notes. These internal notes and the attached files are a little bit for your reference for later. Attaching a file here in the estimate or a sales order can be used if you want to attach a PO, a purchase order that you've received from your customer. That could be easy to refer to later on. And then I click on save, and I have created my estimate. Something that you can do with all transactions, I'm sure you know that in Erplain, you can click on PDF, view the PDF, download the PDF. If I click on view, it opens another tab. I can see the PDF. I can set up my PDFs in the PDF settings. We talked about the PDF settings in a previous workshop today, but that's in the PDF settings that you can change the setup. You can send them by email with your email templates by clicking on send by email. That's also been covered in a previous workshop. So if you want more information on PDFs and sending by email, I encourage you to look at the workshop videos that we're going to share later on. If I go back to the sales workflow, I can, from the estimate, I can, as you can see here, I can create a sales order or an invoice. Before I move to the next step, I want to make sure that to mention an estimate in Erplain does not update your inventory. This is a pricing proposal that you've sent to your customer. The estimate does not update your inventory. That's the next steps. As you can see, I have the option to create the invoice from the estimate. So if I were to click on the invoice, that means I'm not going to use sales orders, shipping orders. And as soon as I save my invoice, my inventory is going to be updated in one step. That's very simple and very quick, and that works really well in certain scenarios. However, many times when you need to be a little more precise when you manage your inventory, you will need to create sales orders and shipping orders prior to creating the invoice. So this is what I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to click on sales order, and Erplain has created a sales order. What I like to do before I go any further in the sales workflow, I like to open another tab with my stock level to show you what a sales order does to your inventory. So I'm going to do that now. Inventory, stock level. So I opened another tab with my stock level. So that page, your stock level, will simply show you for each of your products the exact amount of stock that you have for each of your products. So let's take any of my products. So for example, my cool hat here. For my cool hat, I have on-hand quantity, available quantity, and reserved quantity. On-hand quantity is simply what refers to what you have in stock physically at that time. If you go in your stock locations and if you count the products that you see in that stock location, that will be your on-hand inventory. From your on-hand inventory, we're going to remove everything that you sold in a sales order but has not been shipped yet to give you the available inventory. And then finally, what I sold in the sales order but has not been shipped yet, this is what we call reserved. So in other words, we're going to remove the reserved quantity to your on-hand quantity to give you the available quantity. And that could be very important so that you can keep the visibility of what's available for sale versus what you're actually seeing in your stock level or in your stock locations. Again, that could be very important. If you create a sales order, but it could take a few hours, a few days, sometimes a few weeks to fulfill the order, to give those products to your customer, you're going to lose track of what's really available versus what's on hand. And that's an important notion for your inventory management, is to have both numbers on hand and available for sale. If you do want for this specific product to see where the products are reserved, you click on the reserved number, and it's going to give you all the sales orders that include that product where that product has not been shipped or given to the customer yet. Again, the sales order will reduce your available inventory, and your shipping order will reduce your on-hand inventory. And this is what we're going to do now. I'm going to go quickly as well on the stock locations. If you click on the arrow next to the product, you will see that same information by stock location. So again, if you have products in your office, in a warehouse, in the truck, you can create your locations and have that same information by location if you need to. The incoming inventory, we're going to be talking about it in a few minutes when we talk about purchasing. The incoming inventory is simply whatever you have in purchase orders, but the products you have not received from your suppliers yet, they will be incoming. Here again, I can click on the inventory number, on the incoming number, and you will see the purchase orders that include that product. Okay, let's go back to the sales order. Okay, let me edit the quantity here. I'm going to add more products to this one, hoping to show you some information here. There we go. The reason I increased the quantity that I'm ordering for this product is because I wanted to show you that you can start your purchasing process directly from your sales order. So you have two options. As you can see here on the right side, you have create purchase order and back order button. The back order button will only show if some of the products that you've included in that sales order are not in stock, or if you don't have enough of this product to fulfill the order. Keep in mind that we're also going to use the incoming inventory. So if you've already purchased some of these products from your suppliers, and if I had purchased 60 but I have not received them, I would not see the button back order because I've already purchased these products. So if I click on back order, Erplain will automatically and only add the products that are missing or that are out of stock in one or more purchase orders. We'll create the purchase orders in a few minutes, but I wanted to show you that you can start creating purchase orders from your sales orders. And then the other option that you see here, create purchase order. If I were to click on that button, that would simply add exactly the same products and the same quantities in one or more purchase orders. So again, two different scenarios. Back order will only order the products that are missing, and create purchase order will simply order exactly the product that you've sold. So depending on the scenarios and your needs, you've got both options. Let me continue on the sales workflow, and we'll talk about purchase orders in a few minutes. So let's say I'm ready to fulfill the order. I click on create shipping order. And as you can see, Erplain, of course, shows me the same products that were in my sales order, but I can make some changes in terms of the quantities. That means this product, it's not available for sale. I can remove, or it's not on hand, so I can remove it because I want to ship it next week, for example. And my customer told me he doesn't need 6 of these products, only 3, so I can make some changes to the quantities as well. So I've removed the product and I've reduced the quantity of that one. I'm going to click on save, and I've created a shipping order, but with partial quantities. I'll come back to the shipping orders, but I can go back to my sales order by clicking on the sales order number. Directly in the sales order, I can see the products that are remaining. So here I have the initial quantity and the remaining products. And if I click again on create shipping order, I will see the remaining products. And I can do that as many times as I need until all the order has been fulfilled. So here I created 2 shipping orders, but I could have created 10 or 50 if I need to. Probably a lot harder to manage with 50, but that's a different discussion. As soon as I created my shipping order, my on-hand inventory has been updated. So in this case here, in the sales order that I just created, all the products are in shipping orders, so all my on-hand inventory has been updated. You might wonder what the shipping order status means here. So the shipping status is only for your internal tracking, and also to change the status of your sales order. So for example, if you want internally to track or to share that information, you can say this one is in preparation, for example. I can update, and I've changed the status of that shipping order. I can also say it's been delivered, and I can update, and I'll show you exactly where you can track that information. Before I do that, I also want to show you that you can create your invoices from the shipping order. So that could be very convenient if you create multiple shipping orders, and if you don't want to wait until all the products have been shipped to invoice your customer, you can invoice them from the shipping order if you need to. I'll do the invoicing from the sales order, but you can see you can do it from the shipping orders. If I now go back to my sales order list, the one at the very top, the sales order at the very top, is the one we just created together. And as you can see here on the right side, you've got progress indicators. So 100% committed means all my products are in shipping orders. That also means that my inventory, my on-hand inventory, has been updated. And then based on the status of the shipping order, I can see how much has been shipped and how much has been delivered. And then we're going to see the invoicing and the payment. Before I do that, also note that the status of the shipping order will also be used to close automatically your sales order. So your sales order will be closed, will be automatically completed if you've shipped all the products, if all your shipping orders have the status delivered, if you've created an invoice, and if the invoice has been paid, that will automatically complete the sales order. So let's do the invoicing. As you can see, I have the invoice button here. I can also invoice some products later on if I wanted to. So here I'm just going to invoice all my products at once. I click on save, and I've created my invoice. I can add a payment to the invoice. So for example, here, amount paid, I could do partial payments. I can set up my own payment methods, so bank transfer, I could put the bank transfer number. I click on save, and now that invoice has been paid. And this is typically what concludes the sales workflow, the sales process in Erplain. Something else I want to show is you can send the invoice by PDF. So your customer will receive the PDF by email. So that's the common way to send your invoices. You can also enable a link or the share link to be sent to your customers. So for example, here, if I click on enable sharing, that will create a public link. So here I can copy it to my clipboard, and then I can send it, or I can even send it directly here. I can include that link in the templates if I want to. And my customer will simply see that invoice directly in Erplain. So of course, they will not be able to do anything in Erplain. It'll just be a view only of that invoice, but it's a link that they will be able to see directly from there. If you've added the Stripe integration for payments, they can also even pay for the invoice directly via that link. Okay, so that's the sales process. So let's talk about now the purchasing. Purchasing, I'll go a little quicker on the purchasing because the workflow is a little shorter. And then a lot of the things that I showed you around locations, around selecting the products works exactly the same way. I like to talk about purchasing by talking about the reorders. So here, if I click on reorder, I will see all the products that are below their reorder points. So for each of your products, you can assign a reorder point. And as soon as the stock level for that product is below the reorder point, that product will show up on that page. Excuse me. In addition to, of course, seeing those products that are below their reorder points, you can set up email alerts, so you can be notified when your products are below the reorder points. It's very simple. You go into the settings menu, you click on alerts, you can create a new alert. For example, the trigger could be out of stock, could be below the reorder points, so you can set up your alerts that way. So you can see the products that are below the reorder points. You can receive alerts, and then of course we can help you start the reordering process. So you can reorder in two different ways. You can start selecting the products that you want to reorder directly here on the left side and click on reorder selected products. That's simple. Or, and that's probably something that's more commonly used, is you would reorder by location. So if you click on reorder by location, you choose one of your locations. So for example, this one. And Erplain is automatically going to give you a list of products that you're going to need to reorder based on your reorder points. In order to do that, we're going to look at your current available inventory. We're going to look at the incoming inventory. So if you've already purchased some of these products, they will be included in the quantity to reorder. And that quantity to reorder is a suggestion. So that means you can update that number if you want. So if you want to order more, because September is high seasonality for that product, you can include it here. You can update and fine tune the quantity that you want to reorder. The supplier that you see here is the default supplier that you've created or that you've assigned to that product. If for some reason for this order only you want to order from a different supplier, you can change the supplier name here. Okay, I click on next, and I've created, I have the summary. I have not created the POs yet. I have the summary for two POs. Of course, two POs because I have two different suppliers in the list of products that you saw in the previous screen. And then here you can see I can change some basic information like the location where I want to receive the products. I can even change the price level. But something else that could be very useful as well is instead of creating a brand new purchase order, if you already have an active purchase order from that supplier, you can add these products to this existing and active purchase order. So I can click on PO here, and that's an existing and active PO, and it will add those products to that PO instead of creating a new one. Of course, it will still create a new one for the other one that you see here. So you've got both options based on your needs, or based if you have already active POs for your suppliers. And if I click on save here, I will have updated one PO and created a new PO. Of course, you can create new POs. So for example, here you can click on the plus menu. That's the quick access menu. I click on purchase order, and that's how you create a purchase order from scratch. So here I'm going to select the supplier name. I can select my products. So again, I'm going fairly quickly because that works exactly like I showed you on the sales side earlier. I'm going to select a couple of products. I can have some notes, internal notes. I can attach some files. I can click on save. And I have now finalized my PO. If you remember in the stock level, we saw the incoming column. So that means all these products that are in that PO, they've been added to my incoming inventory. They've not been added to my on-hand and available inventory just yet. That's because I didn't receive the products. When I do receive the product, I open the PO, I click on receive products. I can confirm the products that I've already received. So here again, I can change the quantity, I can remove the products. And then, so here I'm just going to say I've received all the products. But if I didn't, I would have gone back to the PO and I would have clicked again on receive products. I would have seen the remaining products automatically. Okay, and now as soon as I receive these products, they've been added to my on-hand and available inventory. And that's typically what concludes a little bit the PO, the purchase order process. Just like any other transaction, PDF sent by email, as you can see, works exactly the same way. Something also that I wanted to cover in this workshop is a couple of the reports that might be related, of course, to your sales. So if you go in the intelligence section, you've got payments and invoices reports here. So for example, here, if I want to look at all the unpaid invoices, I simply click on unpaid and I will see the unpaid invoices. I can filter, I can set up the columns, I can export, just like any other list that you have in Erplain. That could be very convenient to take the next steps for unpaid invoices. You also have overdue invoices, the list of payments. So if you click on payments, this is all the payments that were added to your account. So to the invoices that you've created on your account. A quick note here also for those that are connecting with QuickBooks. Of course, here the payments that the payment report that you see here will only be relevant if you add all your payments in Erplain. Because if you add your payments in QuickBooks, first you can use QuickBooks to generate the equivalent report. But also we won't see the payments that you've added to QuickBooks. So your payments from Erplain are synced to QuickBooks automatically, but not the other way around. So just a quick note here on the payments. Okay. All right. So that typically concludes a little bit the sales process, the report that I wanted to show. So I'm going to see the list of questions here. So I have a first question here. How do we give them access? So I believe, Andrea, you were referring to the account reps. So for the account reps, it's very simple. You add them as users. So if you go into the settings menu, you go into the users menu. And directly in the users menu here, you can assign them to one of the account reps. So here, this is a regular user. I can select what they have access to, but otherwise I can say, okay, if they are an account rep, and that will automatically change their user access. So they will only see their customers, they will only see their sales. And that obviously is related to the account reps that you've created previously in Erplain. And just a quick reminder here, the account reps are created directly here in the account rep menu. So that's how you give them access, and they will receive an email with the access. Another question here, how do I make my invoice number the same as sales order number so I don't have to manually change it each time? Okay, so that's a good question. So technically it is not possible because as I explained, you can create multiple shipping orders from one sales order. You can invoice each shipping order, for example. So that means you can have multiple invoices from one sales order. So you wouldn't be able to have the same number for the invoice and from the sales order. Having said that, if you only create one invoice per sales order or per shipping order, you can very well, for the next invoice that you create, you can go into the, like create a new invoice, for example. You could match that invoice or update the number after the fact to the sales order number. And then the next invoice will be created with that number plus one. So that would work. Again, only if you don't have any more invoices than you have sales orders, or otherwise you will lose the synchronization. But each transaction has its own numbering system. Okay, I have a question here. You guys will be talking about invoices to QBO. So typically that's not the subject of the workshop today. I encourage you to first have a look at our help center because our help center has a list of common errors that QuickBooks is returning when you're trying to send an invoice to QuickBooks. So if you go in the help center, for example, here, I can show you, and you can search on errors, for example, QuickBooks online error messages, and you'll have a list of possible error codes that QuickBooks is returning with possible solutions on the right side. If you can't solve your problem from that page, click on Submit a Ticket, send us the invoice number and the error message that you're trying to send to QuickBooks, and we can have a look. Question here, freight and duty charges in POs. Okay, good question. So here, I would recommend to bundle them all at once. So let's say I go back in the PO, and this is all to be included in shipping and handling. So we don't have specific line items for shipping, handling, and freight and customs, for example, duty charges. Everything can be included here. And as a side note, whatever information or number that you include here will be used in order to calculate your moving average cost. And so I would recommend to do that. Do the shipping costs go into the receiving when you receive products? Okay, so the shipping, yes. So you have that same field that I'm showing you here, shipping and handling. You have it in each transaction when you receive the product, so what we call the purchase delivery. In each purchase delivery, you have the shipping and handling, and this is really what's going to be taken into account at the end of the day. It's not what's in the PO, it's what you've actually received. So if I put 30 here in my PO, I will see 30 in the purchase delivery. But if I change that to 65 in the purchase delivery, it is the 65 that will be taken into account. Okay, question here. We use ShipStation. Is that compatible with Erplain? Okay, unfortunately, no. ShipStation is not yet compatible with Erplain. We've looked at ShipStation in a lot of details. We've had some issues with the integration. Hopefully, this is still something that we can add one day, but at this time, you cannot connect Erplain with ShipStation. Is that compatible with, we use QBO and is compatible with ShipStation? Okay, yeah, unfortunately, ShipStation, not at that moment. Can I do a physical count of inventory when I have sales orders open? If not, can we conduct a physical count of inventory and it be accurate? So I'm not sure I understand. Can I do a physical count on inventory when I have sales orders open? Yes, you can do a physical count. So if I understand the question correctly, you can manually update your inventory at any time. The number that you can update is your on-hand inventory. It's not the available inventory, because the on-hand is actually a calculation of whatever you have on hand and what's been reserved in shipping and sales orders. So available number cannot be updated, but on hand can be updated at any time. You simply go into the inventory menu, you create stock entries, stock removals, or you use the inventory bulk update page. I encourage you to have a look on our help center on all these transactions to do manual stock adjustments. And of course, if anything is not answered appropriately in the help center, open a ticket and one of our product specialists will be happy to help you. Okay, another question. If the sales order is skipped, does that affect inventory numbers? So I'm not sure what you mean by skip. So if you cancel the sales order, it will cancel whatever products have been reserved. But if you create a sales order, but if you never create the shipping orders corresponding to that sales order, your products will be reserved forever. So I would not recommend to do that. So I would either cancel the sales order or do your shipping orders, but don't skip it completely. I see here another question. Will Stripe payments be applied to invoices in Erplain automatically? Yes, of course. So if your customer pays via Stripe and click on the pay the invoice, that will add the Stripe payment to that invoice, just like if you added it manually here. Yes. Does the shipping cost sync to QuickBooks? Great question. Hopefully you see my smile, the smile on my face. So the answer is different if you're looking at the sales and the purchases. So yes, on the sales side, we do sync the shipping cost with QuickBooks because QuickBooks has shipping cost in the invoices. Unfortunately, QuickBooks does not have shipping cost in purchase orders. so we are not able to sync the shipping cost with QuickBooks. So I encourage you to add another line item in the PO or when you receive the products in order to add your shipping cost. But if you're using QuickBooks, I would not recommend to use the shipping and handling cost field that I'm highlighting here. There's a warning if you're trying to do that, but I'll still mention it. Okay, another question. Lots of questions. I love it. In PO receipt, if there are items which do have any duty applicable, is there a way to separate apply? And will this affect moving average for that particular item? So no, the shipping and handling and duty and freight charges, if you bundle them all in that field here, they will be applied proportionally based on the quantity for your moving average cost. It's not possible to apply it more on some items than the other ones. I would recommend in that case to directly update the cost price when you add your product. So for example here, I would update the price directly here. I would add the freight directly here in the price. Okay. I think I covered all the questions up to now. Any other questions? We're almost done on the time, but if you have any more questions in the next couple minutes, happy to help. Question here, if you use Erplain to do the invoices, will it automatically update QuickBooks? So yes. So to have more details on the integration with QuickBooks, here again, you can go on the Help Center, and you see there is like a QuickBooks section. How does the QuickBooks integration work? So it's a great resource to understand how we work with QuickBooks, but I'm still going to answer your question in more details. So if you do connect Erplain with QuickBooks, we're going to send the invoice to QuickBooks just like if you had created it yourself in QuickBooks. And in order to do that, we're going to sync products, customers, and suppliers, and that's more for the purchase orders, of course, and the purchasing side. But in other words, we're going to sync both ways: products, customers, and suppliers. And whenever you create a PO, an invoice, we're going to create the same one in QuickBooks. When you do receive the products from a PO, we're going to create the vendor bill automatically in QuickBooks. A lot of my products don't transfer to QuickBooks. Okay, Andrea, again, please send us some examples. I'm not sure why some of your products wouldn't transfer to QuickBooks, so it's not something I can address in that workshop. Please contact us by opening a ticket. Another question, when we get Erplain attendance certificate for our CPD, also a coffee cup? Okay, I guess you're referring to the mug here. Erplain attendance certificates, please send us an email. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Will alerts of further training opportunities come available for both free and payment required? Okay, let me read that again. Will alerts of further training opportunities come? Okay. Yes, of course. Next time we organize the more training day, like another training day, of course you'll be informed. And we're not planning to charge for those training. We like to help our customers use Erplain. That's benefiting everyone, of course. Another question: if we're given a credit from a supplier, can we enter it in the PO to account for it? There's no credit or even payment notion for the purchasing side. So here again, I would encourage you either directly in the PO, you can add another line item or service with a minus price here. And you can say, for example, so here, let's assume I've never entered this one. So for example, you could say credit, and you would have a minus here. But yeah, that's how I would recommend to do it. If we use QBO to create the invoice, we'll automatically update Erplain. Good question. So no, again, more details in the article I showed you, but the integration only works for invoices, only works one way. The invoice created in Erplain will update to QuickBooks. That's by design because QuickBooks customers use Erplain because they need multiple sales locations or stock location. They need price levels. They need sales orders and shipping orders. So all these features are in Erplain. They're not in QuickBooks. So we only send the invoice or the PO to QuickBooks, not the other way around. Okay. Okay, and I would like a QBO link training will be nice. Okay, so here, again, I'm going to show you the link. I'm going to share the link of the page I was going to. That's a good page to show. Otherwise, here you can go directly into the QuickBooks menu. Okay, I see a lot of questions in QuickBooks. I'm going to put the link to that page with the list of our articles. And if you have any further questions, as I mentioned, please open a ticket. But I encourage you to have a quick look at those articles and then send us your questions if they haven't been answered. Always happy to help. Okay, that concludes that workshop and the workshops for today. Again, thank you for everyone who attended. Maybe a special thanks to those who attended all the workshops today. I hope we really did provide some value and that it was helpful. I know we couldn't cover everything in all the details, and I apologize for that, but we're always open and ready to help you on any other specifics later on. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk soon. Thank you.